All right, so this knife thoughts video is going to be on this knife, and this is the Benchmade Mel Pardue Stimulus. Now, this is going to be kind of more of an overview than a review because, as you might be able to tell, this isn't my knife. It was loaned to me, so a huge thank you to Earl. I really appreciate it. I always love to get to see new knives, and actually my brother had this same knife at one point, but I don't believe I ever did a video on it. So it's a knife that I'm relatively familiar with despite never having owned myself. So first of all, as I said, this is a Benchmade. Everyone who is into knives knows Benchmade. They are made in the USA. They have a great warranty and have some really classic designs. And speaking of that, the thing that first of all sticks out to me about this knife is the classic design. So you can see it has a really nice, simple kind of maybe what you might call a dagger style handle, and then what you might call a bayonet style blade. So it's not sharpened on both sides of the blade. It is only sharpened on this side. And there is a little bit of a flat area here, so the grind doesn't go the whole way down to the handle on this top side. But it's what you might call a false edge. It comes to a pretty thin spine there. So really classic looks, and also classic, utility shape. It's a simple handle, so if you watch my channel, I think that a simple handle usually makes for an ergonomic handle, and a nice simple blade shape. It's basically a spear point. And so, you have a nice long curve to the belly, so you can use this for really any type of cutting. This knife, I don't believe it was this one, but I know that this is the same model that the person who owns this knife had with them on their deployment. So it's something you can definitely put to good use. It's also a really good EDC size. That's another thing I wanted to mention. This isn't a huge knife, so I'll compare it to a knife with some similar characteristics. This is the ProTech Godfather. The Godson would probably be a better comparison size-wise, but you can see there are some similar design cues, the bayonet style blade, if that's what you'd like to call it, and then a similar but not exactly the same shaped handle. But the Stimulus here is a much more EDC friendly size for most people. So I'll show you compared to a classic EDC knife, the Spyderco Native 5. You can see the Stimulus is a little longer, but not too much, a very similar size. And then compared to another classic Mel Pardue design, also from Benchmade, the Griptilian, kind of one of, if not the best known Benchmade designs. Really like this knife, had it a long time. You can see that the Stimulus is actually, smaller than this full-size Griptilian. So very EDC friendly size and works really well, which is something that you'd expect from Benchmade. So it is a push button automatic. So you have to push it the whole way closed, but then when you push this button, it swings open, and it does swing open nicely. There is a safety. I don't really tend to use the safeties on automatic knives. I just don't find that I really need them. I haven't had, an automatic knife deploy in my pocket inadvertently. No, I didn't carry this knife. Again, it is not mine, so I didn't want to, put any unnecessary wear on it or anything like that. But I don't think that you really need that safety. You have to really, purposefully push this button to get it to deploy. So you can see how far I have to push it, and then it deploys. And when it does deploy, it locks up really nicely. Some automatic knives will have some blade play. This one doesn't really have any that I can feel, either forward and back or side to side. So that's a nice thing. It's also well centered, and the tip is nowhere close to proud. So there's a couple things that I appreciate. You're going to be able to use this knife, sharpen it, and not have that tip, start poking you when you try to grab something in your pocket after just a couple sharpenings. There's also a lanyard hole, pretty solid lanyard hole. A lot of lanyard holes are too small to actually get like real paracord through, in my opinion. This is not. This definitely can take, normal paracord. And then there is a pretty typical Benchmade clip. It is not really deep carry, but it is reversible, so if you prefer tip down carry. I know some people do prefer tip down carry, particularly with automatics. Now, one thing with this knife is it seems like it is not in stock very many places. I think I might have seen it 1 or 2 dealers, but most places it is out of stock. But if you find it, it's a pretty reasonably priced automatic knife for being made in the USA. The price I've seen, at least at the places where it's out of stock, which is, again, most of the places, most of the big retailers, is about $216, maybe $220, something like that. So, you know, pretty reasonable. That's actually about the same that this knife was. I had some points at Knife Ship Free, so I got it for a little bit less, but similar price range for sure. So the thing is, though, that a lot of Benchmade knives in general, but Benchmade automatic knives certainly are a lot more than that. So if you find one of these, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think it's a really classic little EDC friendly, but also very, very usable automatic knife from Benchmade and designed by the great Mel Pardue. So again, huge thank you to my friend Earl for loaning this knife. I always appreciate getting to check out new knives. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I'd love to hear any comments you have, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. Check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.